What is going on, Washington fans? Welcome to Bleacher Report. I'm Josh Taylor, and I'm back for some Bleacher Report streams all season long. And we are finally here for preseason. I don't know about y'all, but I was actually nervous about this one. I was excited just finally seeing our team back out on the field playing against somebody else. And even though we lost 20-17, it's not a big deal. I'm not worried about wins, losses, and the score in preseason. But it took a lot of good notes during the game. And of course, we got to talk about our rookies, and we have to talk about Jaden Daniels. I think that's where we'll start the stream because I didn't know what to expect. Obviously we had Wiley was out, Brandon Coleman was out, Cosme played, but he didn't really play that long. There was just a lot of question marks with the offensive line, with him being down a couple people in this game. I was kind of worried, but the Jets also didn't play like 28 of their players as well. So it was kind of even. I think we honestly had more starters playing than they did. They didn't really have that many starters playing at all. But from what I saw out of Jaden Daniels, you have to be excited for this season. You have to be excited about what he's going to bring year one. You're going to go back and think about all season long and even leading up to now. It's just, is he capable of having a CJ Stroud type season? Is that in the cards? Can Washington have a, Houston Texans type of run year one with Jaden Daniels and a new head coach and Dan Quinn? And I don't know if I'm willing to jump the gun that far, but for one drive of Jaden Daniels, it started, he had like a little check down that he missed. Austin Eckler overthrew him, whatever, had some pressure in his face, wasn't worried about it. But then the deep ball to Dyami Brown, and Austin Eckler was actually talking while like the game was going on after they came out and everything. He was talking about what happened that play. It was supposed to be a screen, and Jaden Daniels actually checked out of it. He said, no, we're going to do an all go. Literally everyone, 5 wide receiver set, everyone just running a go route, just down the field and go after the ball. And Dyami Brown, who could possibly have his career saved here this year by Jaden Daniels, just had to go deep. And that's what Dyami Brown does. He goes deep. And I've been saying, leading up to, practice and preseason, Dyami Brown might be a one-trick pony, but it might be a good trick. And having Jaden Daniels as his quarterback that kind of feeds to his strength can actually help him out a lot. We know Dyami Brown from back in North Carolina, he's known to just go vertical. You remember that Texans game where he had his best game, in Washington, he was going deep, getting deep passes and gaining yards and just making the big plays. Maybe that's what Dyami Brown is. And I think he can really fit what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do in his offense. And then Jaden's just going to let it rip. So Jaden Daniels said, it was like, 3rd and 6, whatever it was. It was 3rd down. They're supposed to do a screen. He's like, I'm going to check out of this. I like our matchups. I like our guys. What the heck? I'm going to go throw it down there and try to pick up this 1st down and not just do something conservative with the little screen. So he checks out of it, and he has pressure coming from his right side. He stands strong in the pocket, and he just does what we saw at LSU, not even just last year, but the last, 2 years at LSU, and just let it rip. That Heisman type throw where he just puts it in a bucket where only his wide receiver can get it. And even a guy like Dyami Brown, who might not be able to separate, might not be able to just, you win with his speed and separation. He said, look, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna throw it and drop it right where only you can get it. And it was a great contested catch by Dyami Brown. Dyami, needs his roses on that catch. But what a throw by Jaden Daniels. That's probably the most excited I've been for a throw in a long time. That is exactly what we wanted to see. It's kind of asking a lot in the first preseason game getting to see it, and we actually got it. So we're driving down the field, and Jaden Daniels shows off his legs. So we saw the best of both worlds. We saw Jaden's arm being able to throw it deep. It was like a 40-something yarder. He finished with a total. He was 2 for 3, 45 yards for Jaden Daniels finishing up, and he shows off his legs. A little speed option to the outside, and I think it was a safety that came down and tried chasing him. I forgot who it was, but like the guy was running downhill at Jaden Daniels, and he just walked to the outside and he's just like right at the end zone. I was waiting for him to hit like a little Ric Flair strut on the way there. And it seemed pretty easy for him to just get up out of there and get to the outside and show off his speed at like 80% effort. That was not even like 100% effort where he's like sprinting. He's just like, oh, I got this. I have the angle. He knows when he can win and get into the end zone. And I have to give big props to Cole Turner on that play, who is someone that we've talked about as, maybe he's just a receiving tight end. Can he be a blocker? He had his guy and he took him out of the picture. Bates had his guy kind of, shouldered him off and let that lane open up for Jaden to just take off. And he pulled that option back and he just hit the right pylon. Just go for it. And like I said, it was like 80% effort. It wasn't even a full 100% effort on the play. So we saw him get to rip the deep pass on a play that he changed into, which is crazy. The fact that he's already doing that, he's like, this is what I see. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm comfortable doing. This is what I know my guys could do. Well, let's do it. Let's go for it. And then showing off his legs. So even though it was one drive by Jaden Daniels, it was as good a drive as possible. Like if that doesn't excite you, I don't know what to tell you. That got me hype. But of course, we're going to talk about some other players. But I think that drive right there just showed you what Jaden Daniels can do this season. Of course, we're going to have question marks like, is the offensive line going to be, good enough to protect them and allow these things to develop? I think the biggest thing for this season, and we saw it a little bit, we're like, I don't like that play, like with Mariota and some other plays, like these long developing plays. There's no reason for all those. I want to see some quick plays where you're getting guys out in space quick, but then also, even those deep routes, they don't take too long to get open. They don't take too long to develop, especially when you have a quarterback that can just drop it. Like I said, you're not waiting on your wide receiver to get separation. You're anticipating where they're going to be and you're getting it out quick. Those long go routes don't have to be long developing plays. And, it's obviously going to be nice if you can have a running back like B-Rob or Austin Eckler back there who's going to help you out in pass pro and pick up, those extra guys. So I'm not, freaking out about the offensive line. Obviously, I got to see some more from the offensive line. Coleman not playing, Wiley not playing. I wasn't going to just sit here and critique the offensive line, but I will say it wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. That first drive, second drive, we saw some guys stand there for a little bit longer. We got to see some Chris Paul action. He was out there like right tackle. I got to just rewatch the whole game and break down everything, first team, second team, third team. But honestly, from what I saw from the offensive line, it was not terrible. Like I was expecting just bad offensive line play. Now, pre-snap penalties and stuff like that are still an issue to a slight degree. That's something we saw at training camp a good bit. A lot of false starts, a lot of just, I'm like, guys, there was certain drives in practice where I'm like, what's going on? We've had like 2 or 3 flags this whole drive. Like this is unexcusable. And we're signing new guys and we're bringing guys in. So obviously there's still, moves being made. But nonetheless, I don't think the offensive line was terrible. I think I saw enough out of it. So I was like, okay, it's not bad. Let's talk about some other notes that I just jotted down throughout the game. Jamin Davis. Let's talk about Jamin Davis. I'm going to skip around a little bit because my notes are kind of all over the place. But Jamin Davis on that edge made some plays in the run game. I thought he looked comfortable at edge. That's something I've been watching. When I was back in Virginia for training camp, was how does Jamin Davis look in this transition? And there was one drive where he had back-to-back like run stops either at the line of scrimmage or right behind the line of scrimmage. And they played him a good bit. I can't wait to see the snap counts on everybody, but Jamin Davis, even like the second half of the game, like late in the game, they had him in there a good bit. So they've kind of just thrown him in the fire and just said, like, look, let's see what we got in this guy. And he looked good. He looked good. Now I want to see him, in passing situations a little bit more. But where I saw him flourish was stopping the run at the line of scrimmage, getting through those blocks, gap integrity. Like key things that might not come naturally to him as a linebacker, but things that I saw, whether he was like on ball right as a, hand off the ground linebacker, or, he's going to be putting his hands in the ground as a D lineman. So I was actually kind of impressed by Jamin Davis. Now, Sean brings up a good point here. Sean 21 said, Forbes might get released. I don't think he gets released just because it's his second season and he was a, first round pick. But it is not looking good. I don't even want to talk about like the practice clips with Garrett Wilson just, putting on a show in the rain on him. Like, I'm not even worried about practice. But when you're getting toasted by like second and third stringers, and there's a couple plays. There's a Brownlee play like in the one of the first drives, left side, where he played them pretty well. But still, the physicality part is killing me. He had the inside on Brownlee, like they're running up the left sideline together. And then when the ball is in the air, he somehow ends up on the outside of the receiver, like mid pass. I'm like, Forbes. So he can't play that physical style of that I personally like in a man corner. And I would, assume that's what Dan Quinn and Joe Witt want him to be too. He doesn't play at the line. Like his press is soft. He's not fighting hands at the line. He's not jamming guys. He's just kind of running with them. And there's times where he can run with them, but whether it's the break point of the route or it's just, there's no break point and they're just going up to get the ball, he is not physical in these routes. These wide receivers at the last second, he can be winning the route the whole time, but that means nothing if you are losing the route at the catch point. The wide receivers are just moving him out of the way. And another thing that he does that bothers the heck out of me when I'm watching a corner is he does not get his head turned around. The touchdown to Brownlee and whatever quarter it was, like I said, playing against backups. First off, it was a great pass. I forgot who the quarterback was. But it was a great corner fade to the left side for that touchdown. But he does not get his head, like he doesn't turn his head around to like play the ball. He just kind of puts his hands up and just prays that like his length can help him out. But if you're not going to be physical and if you're going to rely on your length and your long arms and stuff, then turn around and like play the ball. You're playing the wide receiver, not the ball, and they are easily like out physicaling, if that's even a word, just manhandling him at the catch point. It's not good. HTTR 2018 said Forbes got to go. He is free points out there as long as he's out there throwing it his way. I mean, and if I'm a team playing against him, like, yeah, I don't see a way that he starts. In my opinion, there is no way he starts. I think Michael Davis, who we really haven't seen a lot out of, we haven't heard a lot out of, I think he starts over him. Like, if the season started tomorrow, there's no way you roll him out there as corner one. Should not have been drafted so high. Sorry pick. Never should have been drafted over Gonzalez. Obviously, if y'all know me, I loved Gonzalez. Gonzalez was one of my dream picks. And that one's going to hurt for a while. Now, I will say, I don't think Gonzalez really fits Dan Quinn's scheme, but at the same time, I don't care. Gonzalez is going to be a really good corner. He kind of plays a little bit more zone than what Dan Quinn's going to run. He's still going to run zone, but they're going to play a lot of man. But still, it was just embarrassing, man. And maybe I'm not the only one. Y'all tell me. But I see such a difference in the players that are new here, whether they're vets or rookies, than I do with not all, but a lot of the previous guys. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but like, even just thinking like Tyler Owens, for example. Let's talk about Tyler Owens. I'm a giant Tyler Owens fan. First off, he had the highest relative athletic score of all time. He had like a 10. But that dude is fast. Don't let that 40 fool you. That number 40 jersey he has. It doesn't look like he'd be a fast safety. But first off, he's huge. He's a physical safety, but he is way faster than I would ever imagine. But compare him to Percy Butler, for instance. It just looks night and day different. Like watching some of these newer guys compared to, we'll call them Ron's guys. It just looks different. It just looks majorly different. I'm going to talk about a couple of the rookies that shine. A couple of my guys I've been super high on that made me proud today. But Tyler Owens is one of those guys. He's on my notes. I said Tyler Owens can fly. That special teams play where I think Malachi Corley, shout out to Malachi, that's my guy too. I think he was catching it, and Tyler Owens flew down there and hit him like right after the catch. Him on special teams, beautiful. Love it. But even not on special teams, when he's playing defense, there's a play, I think it was like third down. They called it like right before the first down marker, and I don't know if he broke it up or if he forced a fumble or whatever, but he broke it up, and of course Malachi Corley like caught it before it hit the ground. But man, he can be good. In my opinion, there is no way that Tyler Owens doesn't make the team. Like I'm keeping him over Percy Butler for sure. Since I haven't seen anything out of him and he was running with the threes, I'd probably keep him over Derek Forrest too. Probably. I know Witt said that we're not talking about starters. We don't have starters. We have, 14, 15 guys we're going to rotate in and stuff like that. But when I'm looking at primary safeties that are going to be on the field the most this season, it's going to be Quan Martin at free safety. It's going to be Jeremy Chin at strong safety. And that's I like that duo a lot. But behind him, what's there? Tyler Owens might be the third best safety. Forrest just didn't really, he hasn't done anything at camp. He's been super quiet. I don't know. He's been weird. And then Percy Butler, one of those Ron guys that I would not care if, he goes. There's no way he's making the team over Tyler Owens. Let's see. Gerald Jackson said, what happened to Jordan McGee? He disappeared. So I love Jordan McGee. I can't remember. I'll have to rewatch the game. I don't remember seeing him much at all today, if any. Preseason, it's kind of hard to tell. People are just coming in and out. But definitely going to rewatch and see what happened with him, see if he played a lot, where he was and all that stuff. But I didn't really, look too much for Jordan McGee, even though that's a guy I am super high on who I think is going to be really good. Maybe not this year, but next year for sure. But definitely going to keep an eye on him. I don't think he's hurt, though. Let's see what else I got on here. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about quarterbacks some more. Jeff Driscoll. Jeff Driscoll. What a mouthful. Finished today 7 for 15 with 87 yards. Let's pull this up real quick while we're here. Might as well show some stats. We can make this bigger. We don't need to see the Jets. Jeff Driscoll, leading passer, I guess, today with 7 for 15, 87 yards. Only had, as a team, we only gave up 1 sack. So that right there is an improvement. We did not give up 20 sacks today, so I'll take it. Sam Hartman, 8 for 13, 83 yards. He got banged up his shoulder. I was trying to look at it, so if you see me looking at my phone, that's why. But it looked like Nikki Javala said Sam Hartman had an ice bag taped around his right shoulder as he was carted to the MRI room at the stadium. So I'm going to keep an eye out on that. But Jeff Driscoll impressed the heck out of me a couple times, man. You can kind of see it at the bottom. Well, you can't because I have it covered up, but I can see it on my screen. 3 carries for 23 yards, 7.7 average. There's a couple times where I'm like, yo, Driscoll can kind of move. He can kind of be a mobile guy. I did not expect that out of him. So a lot of play action stuff, you can throw in some RPO stuff. Obviously, it's not going to be like the same kind of design runs for Jaden Daniels. But I think the transition from Jaden Daniels to Jeff Driscoll wasn't as drastic as I thought it would be, as it would be to like Sam Hartman, who's not too mobile, but he had a nice little run pickup on a first down as well. But I thought Driscoll played good. I definitely want to see some more. I know it was a short sample from Marcus Mariota, but things seemed pretty daggone sloppy when he was in there. You would like to imagine that Marcus Mariota is quarterback too, but it wouldn't surprise me if Jeff Driscoll continued to play well, to where like I'm not saying he's going to be labeled as quarterback too, but like in my opinion, where I would be more comfortable with maybe Jeff Driscoll playing an emergency situation where he has to come in and play over Marcus Mariota, but we'll see. Obviously a lot to, we got 2 more preseason games, but I was actually kind of surprised. He surprised the heck out of me. And Hartman looked pretty good. Let's see what else I got here. Olamide Zaccheaus had like 2 kickoff returns. He almost didn't catch one. One was kind of a sloppy catch, but then he like kept going with it and had a nice return. I actually do like the new kickoff rules. I think we have some guys on this team that can, Jahan Dotson, Austin Eckler, Olamide Zaccheaus. I think there's some guys we have that you can put back there that can make a difference in the return game with the new kickoff rules. I think it's going to open up the window for some big play possibilities throughout the season. Not just for us, but other teams in the NFL. He also made a couple good catches that I liked. We've already talked about Forbes getting burnt, so I'm not going to really talk too much more on him. But, if you follow me on social media, at Josh Taylor FB, or if you watch, like, my channel, I talked about it in the preview. Like, to me, I'm giving Forbes, like, 4 or 5 weeks this year. Like, if you continue to see this kind of play from him through 4 or 5 weeks, like there's no way that you can just play him. There's no way. We cannot have a liability in the secondary to that degree where it's like Jaden Daniels is driving down the field, offense is churning, like everything looks good on offense, and then it just takes one play for the defense to allow a touchdown because Forbes is out there. We'll talk about the kickers. I'll talk about that here soon. But, I got to talk about my guy. So I'm going to scroll down and show him because he was the leading receiver for today. If you've been following me for a while now, I love Ben Sinnott. That is my guy. Got the Kansas State jersey signed at training camp. That's my guy. I'm going to have him on the channel. He's friend of the show. I think we're close enough to say he's one of my bros. He looks good. He looks good. He had a quiet training camp. People are saying like, oh, he dropped some stuff, blah, 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 blah. I told people like, I'm not worried about that. When it's game time and it's time to go, Ben Sinnott's going to show up. And he showed it today. Jackson, you're right. Ben Sinnott is a problem and not a bad problem. We finally have a good problem on the team. And what I liked the most about him this game was 2 things. That beautiful is a 44-yard. He's, technically, I think he was in line. I think his hand was in the ground. He wasn't out wide, so he was definitely in line. But just a beautiful seam route. Seam route is really designed to, split those defenders, whether it's like a nickel corner, linebacker, and then the safety over top. Beautiful seam route. Catches it, breaks like 3 tackles. First one was easy. He keeps going. Second one, the guy's like on him. He's dragging him along. Next few guys come over, and he's still just churning a little bit. That physicality is what I loved about Ben Sinnott. He was also a fullback at Kansas State. But he is ready to show people he can run routes and he can catch, deep passes across the middle. But then that physicality, that athleticism after the catch is going to show all season long. So, first preseason game, turned out to be the leading receiver for the team. For a guy that people were telling me, oh, Josh, he can't catch at training camp. I don't care. He can catch in the game. 57 yards, 19-yard average in the 44-yard deep one. Talked about De'Ami Brown. Luke McCaffrey had a nice – I'm probably going to do like a rookie spotlight, like film breakdown on the channel, like with all the rookies. But Luke McCaffrey had that 19-yarder. It was looked like a dig route, pretty deep dig route. Ran it. I mean, we all know that he can run good routes. Like, we've seen the videos, we've seen the tape. He can run good routes. But what impressed me was his ability once he caught it in his route, he kind of like dropped down afterwards to avoid getting tackled and gained a few more yards and picked up 19 on the play. It was a good throw from Sam Hartman too. So Luke McCaffrey looked good. Defensively, I mean, I don't really have too much to really talk about. Like I said, Jamin Davis looked good. Forbes didn't. Tyler Owens popped. Obviously, most of the starters on the D-line with John Allen, Deron Payne, they didn't play. Johnny Newton didn't play. Samer still was all over the place. I will give some roses to two guys that didn't play long. Mikey Samer, so there's a couple plays where he would just be a missile out of nowhere in the backfield. Mikey Samer still is going to be a beast. Like that is what I'm saying, a difference between a newly drafted one of Dan Quinn, Adam Peters' guys, and one of Ron's guys. There is a night and day difference between Mikey Samerstill and Emmanuel Forbes. They could not be more different at all. And then Frankie Lavu, there was a couple plays early in the game, whether it was like a broken play and the quarterback was running, or it was like a screen play or something like that. That boy came out of nowhere. I was like, oh, yep, there goes 4. Yep, that 4 jersey right across the screen. Lavu's going to be so good this season. He's looked amazing in camp so far. From when I was there, he looked so good. We didn't get to see Bobby Wagner today. I know. I'm hurt. I'm hurting too. I'm just as upset about it as y'all are. But man, Frankie Lavu is going to be a dog. Like Tribal Chief, put up the 1, acknowledge him. He is the true chief. Sorry, Roman Reigns. But and like I said, we haven't seen even Bobby Wagner. Like week 1 is going to be a culture shock. I'll be in Tampa. I'm going to be at that game. But it is going to be such a shock. And I just pray that they can get the offensive line straightened out to where I'm comfortable with it. And I pray they can get these corners situated. Now, I talked about, hey, should we bring in Stephon Gilmore? And of course, today, as soon as Forbes gets burnt, Justine Anderson's tweeting out that, Stephon Gilmore is visiting the Vikings today. And I was like, man, I would have loved that move. Maybe it's still not too late. But at the same time, I hope Michael Davis can be the guy. But it does worry me a lot. It does worry me. Maybe some of these depth guys can kind of step up and make a name for themselves. But I think it's really going to lean on St. Juice. And, heck, maybe Quan Martin even has to get thrown in at corner sometimes. But Michael Davis, as a vet, who's good in man. Like I think he fits what they want to do really well. But that definitely scares me. And another thing that scares the heck out of me, which you should never have to go down this far when you're talking about things that scare you, and that is kicking. It's bad. I don't think either of these guys is the kicker. Now, Ahmed made a 40-yarder. It looked good. I still don't trust him at all to be the kicker. There was days in training camp where he looked just bad. His leg just doesn't look as strong as Patterson. I will say this. Patterson has a strong leg. It's the accuracy that really worries me with him. And he missed a 39-yarder, like doinked it. I'm like, come on, man. Like you're a vet. You're not a rookie. You're a vet in this league. You've made some big kicks. Like you've been good. And your first preseason game, you're doinking your only kick outside of extra point at 39 yards. So kicker is definitely a big concern for me. Like it's giving me flashbacks of like last year. Like, man, I would have loved to have Hopkins back. But I don't think Washington has their kicker yet. I think they're going to be urgent to pick up somebody on the waiver wire. And we're second waiver wire, of course. Don't forget that. Whether, somebody gets cut or, kicking competition. That's, I'm gonna have to look and see who's actually having kicking competitions in the league right now. But I think Washington will eventually get somebody else. Like I said, it is so weird these guys play off each other, because like in training camp when I was there, it's like they would both be perfect, and then the next day they'd both be bad together, and there's just no consistency when it comes to the kicking room. It's not good. It is not good. And shout out to Tressway, by the way. He had an impressive tackle there at the end of the game. Dude for the Jets juked out like 6 of our players in one move, and Tressway just comes out of nowhere and takes his legs out. So shout out to Tressway on that one. But overall, I think obviously with the Jaden Daniels plays and stuff like that, I'm impressed by what I saw, because let me get out of here. After the practice I saw, I was concerned. I was like, holy smokes, the Jets are just a better team than us. And like I said, still a lot of, questions and concerns with offensive line and corner play. And we're going to keep an eye on that. Y'all know I'm going to go live after every preseason game. We're going to have updates. So I'm going to go back to these notes. Like, okay, this person struggled. Forbes bounced back against the Dolphins or against the Patriots, whoever. So I'm going to keep an eye out on that. But all in all, for a preseason game, I got a good feel for a couple of things. Dyami Brown could be wide receiver 3. Dyami Brown could have a big bounce back this year. I think Ben Sinnott showed that he can contribute year 1. Like, there's a lot of different storylines to keep an eye on throughout preseason, and some position battles, some guys that might not make the team. So hope y'all enjoyed this stream. Good game. It was good to get that excitement and as fans to just knock off that rust, because I was nervous. I don't know about y'all, but I was nervous. It's like, man, I want to see some action from our boys today, but it was a good game. Definitely going to rewatch it a couple times and throw out some videos on that. So like I said, follow me on social media at Josh Taylor FB, and then on YouTube, JTFB, where I will upload some more like breakdowns and stuff like that, and some previews for the next week. And we have a joint practice against the Dolphins too. So we played against a good team, and we have a better team that we're going to have to face. So hope y'all enjoy the stream. I'll see y'all next time here on Bleach Report. Peace.